What is the point of eye training and how can it help us get better aim? Is it even possible? In my experience, the point of eye training is to increase the reflexes in your eyes to help you assist your aim. In my experience, good aim comes from good habits, and one of those good habits is looking at your target before or during your flick. If you look at the target after your flick, you'll most likely overshoot. This creates a really bad habit since you're showing your brain, I'm hitting my shots in an aim trainer, but not in game. So what's actually happening here? In an aim trainer, there's no pressure. You have time to overflick, you have time to adjust. But in game, you rarely take that time to adjust. You just flick and wherever it lands, you shoot. You most likely will be adjusting before it's already too late. If you often overflick, then find the target like this. Probably need more flicking based practice in changing up some of the settings that we'll talk about very soon. But the gist of it is make your target a bright color like neon pink and your background something basic and flat like gray and black. So let's say you try this, you try changing colors, it didn't work. What do? How can we still improve my static? It's simple. I made a playlist for you. This one focuses purely on flicking and you don't have to do any technique, you don't have to think or anything like this. It's made to be as hard as possible and to punish you if you miss. In static, there's very little punishment. So now we'll talk about some more details into eye training techniques and how to use them. Okay, so there's basically two schools of thought on this, and I'll tell you which one I prefer later on. First and most common is definitely keeping your eye on the target, especially in static. So before you move your mouse, you want to be hyper focusing on the target. And the way we achieve this is by making your crosshair a very bland color. I personally use black, and the background something light and unnoticeable. While at the same time highlighting the target by adding very colorful colors, yellow, pink, light blue and stuff like this. But you need to be careful when you're choosing colors here. So the idea here is to make the bots not blend together with the wall, rather stand out from the wall. So if you have a light gray wall with neon pink bots, it's going to blend really well into the wall since gray and pink complement each other, rather than sticking out, which is what you want. I'd avoid personally using the full bright setting here and going about slightly darker colors than the absolute brightest ones. But it's definitely something you can try out and play around with. Another setting you can actually change is change color under crosshair. This could help some people identify where your crosshair is and isn't when you're on target or not, without having to look where your actual crosshair is. You're still focusing on the target. But this isn't for everyone, however. Try it out and see if it works for you. You can also use things like glow up bots to make them shiny and stand out even more. There's also a technique I've seen some players do where you move your crosshair from the target intentionally, taking a longer route just to ensure you're looking at the target before you're actually shooting. And the last technique for when you're looking at the target is creating a pitch black surrounding with the bot just being an insanely bright color. This really helped me in the past with overflicking and is something I'd recommend if you're struggling with that in particular. Alright, that gets us to the second idea, which is keeping your eyes on the crosshair as opposed to on the target. While this is less popular, the idea is to keep your eyes on the target and see your enemies with your peripheral vision. You're basically doing the exact opposite. So here, you change your crosshair to something very bright and slightly larger. I personally use purple. Enable hit markers like this so they change colors when you're on target, telling your brain once again where your focus needs to be at, because that's what this is all about. Personally, this increased my flicking, but I found it really hard to hyper focus on the crosshair when there's so much stuff going on around me in game. Perhaps it's a me thing, but focusing on the target in game made me personally more consistent, because I ended up missing a lot of enemies around me. Ammo tracking mini maps and stuff like that were also harder to focus on because they're so far away from your crosshair, right? However, if you can master this technique like someone as MP Control Ward has, your aim can reach a really all-time high. So okay, now you know these two techniques and how to use them and how to try them. Which one should you choose? It's simple. As with any of my techniques, tricks, or tips, they're all made to get you to start thinking about something. This isn't the definitive way to aim train or definitive way to eye train. It's rather just two different techniques. Now, if you ask me, you should start by focusing on your crosshair, since that's what most people won't use. process of elimination. You do that for a week, a month, however long you feel like, but don't shut it off just because you play worse for a while. It might take your brain time to learn and adjust to these techniques. I mean, they're brand new, so let it take its time and set aside a week or two for it. If you still don't see a difference or you're playing worse, switch gear colors in your aim trainers and start focusing on the target for a week or two. Record your gameplay, record your aim trainer, journal score, everything you can do, and see which one worked the best for you, what flaws you have, and where you could work on these techniques to make them better. Example for me from this personally, when I looked at the crosshair, I felt like my flicking was better, but my tracking was worse. So that's a weakness of it and a strength of it, and it shows me where I need to put my focus. So I hope this helped you out with some ways, guys. Don't forget to like and sub.